Director of Government Programs here at the Archdiocese, and I'm here this afternoon with Ben Jensen, John Doney from the School Improvement Network here in the offices downtown Cincinnati. So I'm going to turn this over to them so that they can tell you all about their growth and competency system.
Thank you, Mary Ann. This is Ben Jensen. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with all of you today. We're going to have a few more trickle in as our presentation unfolds. I wanted to go over real quickly just the agenda that we prepared. We're going to start off, and if nobody can see our screen or if you're having difficulty with audio, again, make those comments, and David, our moderator, can assist you with that as we progress here. So the first thing we're going to talk about is some research that's been done on current teacher perceptions as provided by the Gates Foundation, TNTP. We'll also introduce our educator growth and competency system and how that has actually been proven to impact the most important measure that we are concerned with, and that is student achievement. Once we complete those slides, which will take, I don't think, more than 7 to 8 minutes, we're going to then dive into what's called Edivate, which is our online PD platform, and show you a little bit of what we've been able to accomplish. So a little bit of background real quickly on our partnership here. I've been working with Michelle Hinton, who unfortunately had to leave earlier today for an important engagement. She would be joining us today. Sends her regards, and Mary Ann is gracious enough to join us today. Well, we started working on this partnership back in October of last year as we've been discussing opportunities to be a support to the schools across the Archdiocese. Based on the goals and the challenges and the needs that we've discussed here at Central Office, we feel that many of the solutions that we provide within our Edivate PD platform can fill in many of the gaps and be a tremendous support to your educators and your staff. And we hope to get to much of that in our presentation today. So the first thing we're going to go into, we see a lot of challenges that are being experienced from one district to the next, schools to the next, and many of the challenges that we see have to deal with time. Not having the time to provide effective and efficient PD. We also see geographic issues. That was one of the things that Michelle talked about, being able to effectively be a support to the schools across the Archdiocese given the geography that we see here in Ohio. And so we feel that, again, some of the challenges we're going to, or some of the resources that we have can address many of the challenges that you are experiencing within your schools. So let's get into teacher perceptions. So this is based on recent research by the Gates Foundation. They found that according to their research, about 71% of teachers are not satisfied with the way PD is currently being provided. Now think about traditional PD and how that's happening. Many principals and districts across the country will engage in PD that is mostly in the form of workshops, standalone, one-day, short-term workshops, which are difficult to measure as far as the ability to see how it's impacting student achievement. TNTP found that 60% say it's just not a good use of time. And so we're finding that our solutions are really geared towards making sure that teachers are getting the getting the support that they need and making good use of their time. So I'm going to pause for just one moment, and then now let's get into a little bit of what we've put together. We have back in the day, just a little bit of history about School Improvement Network. The product that we provided was PD360. Many of you who have been around for some time have probably heard of that product, PD360. We've now evolved into something new called the Educator Growth and Competency System, all in an effort to provide teachers with what it is that they need the most to impact really student achievement. And so our system all came down to this question: how can we better support our educators in that effort to make sure that their teachers, again, are improving in the areas that they need to impact the most important measure, and that is student achievement. So we've been around for 25 years, and we've learned a tremendous amount in that time of what works and what doesn't. And we've taken our experience and again have compiled that, put that together into what we call the growth and competency system. In a nutshell, this is what our growth and competency system entails. I'm going to go through just a couple of bullet points here. As you can see, this is all covered by personalized growth. That's really our main objective. Ultimately, we want to provide your educators with the tools and the resources that they need to impact and to drive effective educational practices, teaching practices, and impact student achievement. Let's start with Edivate, number one here on the left. Edivate is our online PD resource. In that you have personalized learning technology, all the tools and the resources that you need in order to support teachers in a variety of different ways. Growth tracking and support. There's a variety of collaboration tools. It can also become that centralized learning repository. So think about all the things that you have going on in your school right now, all the great things that are happening, and what are you doing to capture those things? Well, Edivate can be that repository. Again, there's a variety of tools that you can use to collaborate. Geography is a big issue. Michelle and I have talked a lot about, well, how can we make it possible for principals across the diocese to communicate, work with each other effectively, teachers to share, collaborate with best practices, and our tools and resources are designed to drive exactly that. Number two, learning. So our library contains over 3,500 videos and learning experiences that can be used to align literally to any framework. And with those videos, you can also create a variety of program collections to more specialized instruction, perhaps around classroom management, even to more compliance coursework as well. We also have a micro-credentials library for those who are familiar with what some people might call badging, which is a more sophisticated and more intuitive approach to individualized professional learning. And we also have tools and resources to drive and support leadership development. And finally, number three is our professional services. So one very important thing that we want to make sure you understand is that, yeah, we may have some wonderful solutions, but if its implementation is left up to you, you're not going to get very far. And so we actually become your partner. We're not going to come into the school and say, here's how we're going to do it. This is not a takeover. Instead, we want to understand, like a doctor would in a doctor's visit, what are your needs? Where does it hurt the most? What is it that what's causing the pain that you're experiencing? And with that, we'll actually do what we call on the district level, we call this boot camp. But on a school level, we actually will call this Blueprint for Success, where it's a 3-month strategic planning session. Excuse me. It's a 3-month plan that we put together in a strategic planning session with our experts to help you understand how to roll this out successfully, and what are some of the goals that you may have, what are some of the targets we need to reach, what are some of the gaps we need to fill, and that's what we will accomplish in that Blueprint for Success. We also have project management services. We have a team, a School Improvement Network, to help you in the construction of perhaps focus objective folders and courses and so on. And finally, we do have a variety of resources to support leadership and instructional coaching. So again, look at this and understand that all of this is to drive personalized professional learning. We can't emphasize that point enough. And we also realize that every school across the Archdiocese has its own, perhaps, culture, its own set of challenges, its own personality, if you will, and not every Edivate account's going to look the same. So there will be some customization, if you will, from one school to the next. So understand that we do have that flexibility in making sure that Edivate is operating the way that you want it to. So now, one thing I also want to point out is that we're seeing a lot of discussion. I know that the Every Student Succeeds Act is really starting to gain momentum, and one of the things they talk about in ESSA is evidence-based professional learning. And I want to share with you just a couple of things that I think you might really appreciate. The Gates Foundation found that each year we see about $18 billion go into professional development without really any solid evidence that it's impacting the most important measure, which is student achievement. And so we actually took it upon ourselves to have a third party come in and do some research on how our platform, how our system is actually impacting schools across the country. And they wrote a book called How to Maximize Educator Success. And in this book, they detail how they conducted the research from suburban to urban schools. And what they found, just in a nutshell, is that schools who implemented the Edivate platform religiously experienced an 18% increase in student achievement. Their counterparts, those schools that maybe had access to Edivate but weren't using it or just did not have access to Edivate, experienced also student achievement growth, but only in the range of about 3 to 4%. So it goes to show you just how beneficial it is to provide your teachers with access to personalized professional learning. The same study also found that schools who implemented Edivate and followed the resources and tools that are available there faithfully experienced a decrease in dropout rates by 20%, experienced a decrease in discipline issues by 33%, and even saw college intention rise by 10%. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you change society. These are the things we're talking about here as far as how you change society. And it all comes down to, again, what teachers have access to in the classroom. Instead of waiting for that PD day to come around once every month or once every 2 months or 3 months in some cases. We met with the district just yesterday. They have one PD day the entire year, which means those teachers only have a chance once a year to address the challenges that they're experiencing in their classroom. So we're thinking, well, what happens in the meantime? PD's got to be ongoing. PD's got to PD has to be something that teachers are able to experience on demand, and that's precisely what our platform is designed to do. So with that, I'm going to pause my screen for just a moment. I'm going to look and see if we have any questions that have come in. I don't see any questions at this point, and I'm going to pull up the Edivate PD platform, and let's take a look. I'm going to show you what we have access to. Now again, if you have any troubles with the volume, or if you're not seeing my screen, please make a comment in the comment section there, and David Black will assist you with that. So you should now see my login. I'm at the Edivate login, and when you enroll with School Improvement Network, it will give to your school the licenses that you need. Each teacher, each staff member will have their own username and password and the ability to log in. I'm going to go ahead and log into my own personal Edivate account. And the first thing we come to is what we call our partner dashboard. This is where we post quick access to some of the more popular functions and solutions within Edivate. This will become more meaningful to you as you learn about the different solutions and features within the Edivate platform. But for now, I'm going to come up here to this stack of 3 horizontal lines, or this hamburger menu. And I'm going to come down to one of the first things that Michelle and I talked about that we felt could really be a tremendous support to your schools, and that is our observation tool. As for my understanding, it seems like there are a variety of the different observation tools and resources being used across the Archdiocese, and we're looking for ways to bring more consistency. And it's not just a consistency in the tools that you're using, but in also the capacity and the things that you can do inside the observation tool. So with that said, I'm going to go down to where it says again, Edivate Observe. And you're now going to see, I'm going to zoom in here, our observation home page. And notice there's a few different things that can happen here. The first thing I want to point out is that we have a way for you to create your own templates. We have templates ready to go. We even have templates around OTES if you're aligned with OTES, or Danielson or Morzano. If you have something that's more homegrown, we have templates. You have the ability to upload those templates and even adjust those templates so that you're collecting the data that's valuable to you. It even contains the values that are important to Archdiocese schools, or the Cincinnati Archdiocese schools. You also have the ability to schedule your observations and other PD-related meetings, and even pull important reports to help you understand the data and how to better drive those changes in instruction. I'm going to come up here, though, to the top left where it says Perform an Observation. Now, in your school, you'll have a drop-down. You'll have the ability to select your school. You'll have within there already uploaded your teachers that you'll be evaluating. I'm going to type my name, and then I'm going to click on, you can have a variety of templates in here, whether that's for observations, walkthroughs, whatever you would like. I'm going to click on this one here, Danielson Framework, and I'm going to click on Start Observation. Now, we've realized that there are a lot of different tools out there. There's all kinds of ways to conduct observations, but ours provides you with unique access to something, and that is the ability to provide your teachers with personalized instructional pathways as you're actually conducting the observation. First, notice you can select the different types of observations you're wanting to do, from informal to formal. But I'm going to come down here to this very first indicator. Let's just say you're at this one, demonstrating knowledge of content and pedagogy. You recognize that Ben is perhaps basic skills and content knowledge. You're thinking, well, I want to help Ben. Instead of me passing this observation on to him with really no guidance afterwards and really no next steps, okay, what do I do now? Maybe sometimes what teachers are often thinking, you can now attach to this PD assignments to help them move along in this specific indicator. I'm going to come over here to this clipboard that you might see, Manage PD Assignments Relating to this indicator. I'm going to click on that, go to where it says Search, and I already have some recommended content that I might think, okay, this is perfect for Ben. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the plus sign, attach it to that. Now it's attached to the observation. Maybe you'd like to attach more. Let's type in Content Knowledge in the search right here. And what you're accessing is our Edivate library. We have over 3,500 learning experiences that you can use, again, to align to any framework and help your teachers in these areas where you're identifying weaknesses or deficiencies to help them with those fixes in their classroom. So let's say we want to attach this one, hands-on application of content knowledge. I attach that. Make sure you come down here to the bottom and click Save. Okay. Now, being able to connect this observation tool to our library and give you the ability to provide your teachers with these instructional pathways, these PD assignments, is a major step forward in helping teachers get more personalized professional learning. You also have the ability to manage all the evidence your heart desires, from counter evidence to timer evidence, any text evidence. You can even upload any external files, whether that was a video or a picture of something happening in the classroom. And you can attach that to this as well and mark all of these private or public if you would like to do that. So this is Edivate Observe. We won't spend any more time on this as we need to move on to other things, but this is something that we believe will not only bring greater consistency into the Archdiocese as far as how we're conducting our evaluations, but at the same time provide teachers with the support that they need to be more to be more personalized in the instruction that they're providing to their students. Let's go back here now to the main page. I want to show you something else that we think will change the challenges in geography, and that is that's going to be with something called Groups and Edivate Review. I'm going to come back over here to our stack of horizontal lines, or this hamburger menu. I'm going to come down to where it says Groups, and what you actually have the ability to do is create a group, and as many groups as you want, each group with its own purpose, its own function, its own set of tasks and resources that might be relevant to that. Let's click on this one here, Educator Effectiveness System. And you're going to notice the first thing you see is a wall similar to what you might see on Facebook, the ability to post comments and share things. Here's where you might see some tasks that have been assigned to this group. Let's say this is a group for principals across the Archdiocese, or this is a group for first grade science teachers, or a group for instructional coaches, or a group for all the staff members. You can get creative as to what kind of, how you want to use these groups. And then these groups, again, would have tasks to work on, collaborate, and share together. Here you can manage how these tasks are moving forward, how they're being completed. You can even upload and download and share resources that are relevant to the purpose of this group. Well, an exciting development within our group's feature here is this Edivate Review solution. Again, this is what can take collaboration to a whole new level of effectiveness. One of the bigger challenges we see in districts across the state, maybe even the country for that matter, is classroom management. So let's click on this one here. Let's say this is a group set aside for elementary teachers, and they're wanting to, maybe you as the principal or the assistant principal want to provide to this group the opportunity for them to collaborate and to discuss and share thoughts and ideas around this particular content, this video on classroom management. So you click on it, and what's going to launch is the, again, collaborative tool called Edivate Review. Now, the nice thing about this, too, is that you have the ability to access this at a time and a place that's convenient for you. Notice how the video automatically starts. Here on the bottom right, you'll have the opportunity to type in text comments. I've even had some administrators come in beforehand and record maybe a 30-second commentary on, maybe once every minute or once every 2 minutes, just a commentary on what they hope they're taking away from this experience, or, hey, did you realize or did you recognize how the teacher did this, or how this strategy could maybe change your classroom. You could even upload relevant material to this discussion that you think might assist your teachers, or even attach YouTube content that could be of assistance. Those involved in this collaboration can also leave audio commentary. You could even go as far as asking your teachers to leave a 2,000-character summary on what they took away from this and how they're going to apply these best practices in their classroom. You also have the ability to drive through these markers here more focused objectives. Say you're wanting your teachers to focus or be paying attention to engagement, the use of technology, reading comprehension, just as examples. And when they see that, what's going to happen is they're going to click on it. Now they've actually marked that when they saw it in the video here, and on the bottom left on the timeline, notice that appears. And you're going to see those clusters more and more engage in this learning experience, which will help teachers, again, see and recognize with more focus certain areas in the video that could help them in their classrooms. So again, this is Edivate Review. This is how you could use it when you pull instruction or when you pull content from our library. But think about how you can maybe even use this with what's going on with the talent you have in your own schools. Think about that top teacher, maybe that best teacher, Mrs. Smith, for example, or Mrs. Crabtree. She's got some great things going on in her classroom, but you're struggling knowing how to pull those other teachers out of their classroom to see what she's doing, to share what's going on without disrupting their momentum or bringing in substitutes. You could actually video or record what Mrs. Crabtree is doing in her classroom, and then upload that to Edivate and share that with everyone in the class or in this group and give them an opportunity to collaborate around what's going on in your own school. We've even had some districts record developing teachers. Maybe you're having a hard time getting out of your office and making time to go in there to Mrs. Johnson's class to record or to observe what she's doing or give her some feedback. Well, if you could have Mrs. Johnson record 5, 10, 20 minutes of what she's doing in her classroom and upload this to Edivate Review, then that gives you the chance, maybe alongside with your assistant principal and instructional coaches, the opportunity to review and provide feedback to her in this kind of setting. So that's Edivate Review. I'm going to pause for just a moment to see if we have any questions. I don't see any questions, and I'm under the assumption that we are still live. So hopefully everybody is still catching all the audio and the visual to this presentation. A couple more things, and we'll start to wrap this up. So we've talked about some of the main components to Edivate. Edivate Observe, Edivate Review, inside groups. I'm going to show you real quickly how easy it is for teachers to access on-demand, self-prescribed professional learning. Maybe they have just a couple minutes at a lunch break and they are experiencing some issues in the classroom that they want to have a quick fix to right then and there. We can click on Library. Let's say that issue has to do with classroom management. So you just type in classroom management, and then what pulls up is access now to our entire library. And you'll notice that we have, along with this, over 731 search results. You can narrow that down from forums. There's forums that have been discussing this. There's groups that have had discussions around this. Let's just click on where it says videos. And now you have the ability to jump in and watch some videos that are relevant to these issues that you're experiencing right then and there in your classroom. Let's click on this one here, active learning environments. Let me show you what happens once you actually launch the video. So these videos, we're a growing YouTube nation. We've become a YouTube nation, I should say, and we're used to just short learning bits where we can get kind of what we need in just a matter of 2 to 3 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And so we try to provide our content and our instruction in a manner that is very concise and direct and to the point. So they have the ability to pause, rewind, and forward, and so on, but we also attach to these reflection questions. And as an administrator, you can ask your teachers to answer these reflection questions so you know how are these videos driving their thoughts, and how is this going to help them in their classroom. The first 3 are available at the beginning of the webinar, or of the recording here. The next 3 become available 72 hours after you have finished this, so that way the viewers have time to apply what it is that they have learned in this video in their own classroom. Continue down. There's a brief description of what this video is about. You'll notice this is also one in a segment of 19 that you might want to also go through. We even have a guidebook or a lesson plan that you can download and print out and use to help you as you apply these practices in your classroom. You'll see these guidebooks with just about every single one of our videos within our library. So that's how convenient it is for your teachers to access this kind of on-demand professional learning. This ease of access is important as teachers are looking for solutions that they need right then and there. Let's go real quickly now to learning targets, and we'll finish up within Edivate just by looking at a few things here. I'm going to jump to where it says courses. Here you have the ability to create some more custom courses. These are just some examples. Maybe a custom course around some compliance work. You have bloodborne pathogens. Maybe one around more specialized training in classroom management, or even new teacher inductions. Every school, every district has new teachers coming on every year, and I know that that process can be laborious, and so having some online training will make that consistent and I think a much lesser headache for administrators. And if you click on classroom management, we can provide a tremendous amount of content within this, from videos to reflection questions to quizzes to materials to upload and download. There's quite a few things you can do within these courses to make sure that they're thorough and that they meet your standards and values. I'm going to click where it says portfolio. You have the ability also within Edivate to create personalized improvement plans for each of your educators. Here's one for me. Here you could create a variety of goals, create a variety of activities built within that goal to show what you need to do in order to accomplish that, and even what evidence you might require. Here's where the teachers would receive all their observations, okay, and be able to review those, perhaps even conduct self-assessments. We could even create catalogs, focus objective folders, and so on. So this is, again, the purpose of Edivate. I'm going to go back to this slide real quickly of our growth and competency system. Edivate is the technology component to our growth and competency system. Again, it contains the tools and resources that drive personalized professional learning. A plethora of collaborative tools, growth tracking and support, and it can be that centralized learning repository. So with that said, let's start to wrap things up here, and we'll get into pricing. We have about just a few minutes left, so this is a good time for us to start to wrap things up. So with that said, pricing is structured as you see here on the screen. We have licenses available on a per-site basis, and these licenses will grant access to the entire staff, from the custodian all the way on up to the principal, at $49.95, and that's an entire year. And what that comes with is Edivate Review, Edivate Observe, some of the key features, and partner success support. Then you also have, if that's something you would like to add to the Edivate license, micro-credentials. And we'll get into that if that's something that, when we have one-off meetings, we'll make it a point to discuss micro-credentials in that setting, and whether or not that's something you feel could be of assistance to you. Edivate Essentials is our product training. That's designed to cover 1 to 2 units, should cover the entire facility. $750 for half-day online training. Technical services, depending on how many hours, this is typical in software companies, 15 to 30 hours of technical services will range from $1,500 to $3,000. Then the Blueprint for Success, this is the implementation. This is where, with our team of experts, we create a 3-month implementation plan on how we're going to roll this out, what gaps is this going to fill, and how are we going to make sure that this really is crossing certain thresholds and filling in the right gaps and so on. So with that said, we have, just coming up in a few moments here, we're going to put up a poll that will kind of help us understand where we're at and what our next steps will be. David Black will pull it up in just a moment here. And we'll be following up with you within the next few days or so to kind of talk about what you've seen today and whether or not this is something you feel could be a support to you. In closing, I want to turn the time over to John Doney, just give him a few minutes to kind of summarize some of the things that we've talked about, and let him share what his values and his beliefs around the support we can be to schools in the Archdiocese. John, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Ben, and I think you've done a great job summarizing the features and capabilities that we provide in our Edivate growth and competency system. So thank you for that. I think what I would add is more related to the topic of implementation. A lot of us have been in education for many, many years and seen initiatives and systems come and go, some successful, some less successful. And the success is largely a function of the quality of the implementation and support that takes place. And that's something that we have really worked hard as an organization to develop, being a set of services that can help ensure that our clients are successful with the implementation of Edivate, and that usage accomplishes the goals and objectives that you have. One thing that I think will be reassuring to our principals of Catholic schools here on the line is the fact that we have a lot of experience with Catholic dioceses and archdiocese implementations around the country. We've worked with Orlando Archdiocese in Florida, Austin in Texas, Tucson in Arizona, Syracuse in New York. The list is pretty long, and so we have a good understanding of Catholic school systems, some of the nuances, opportunities, as well as some of the challenges that you experience, and I think have a great service offering that can help support you in your implementation of Edivate and help ensure success. So on behalf of the executive leadership team at School Improvement Network, I'd like to thank everyone for their participation and really appreciate the opportunity to further explore this partnership with the Archdiocese of Cincinnati.
And on behalf of the Archdiocese, I want to thank Ben and John for being here with us this afternoon. But I especially want to thank the principals for joining us. I know you've put in already a long, hard day. Thank you for your dedication to this topic of professional development for our teachers, which is very important to all of us. So thanks again, gentlemen, for being with us today.
So you should be able to see the poll that we've just launched, and take a few moments, fill this out, and then there's just a few more additional questions after this one. Here's the quick poll number 2. And that is it on the polls. I have one more, but it's not displaying properly. Ben, if you want to take over from here, and we do appreciate everyone's attendance, and we know your time is valuable. If you do have any questions for Ben or John or anyone else, please feel free to use the questions feature. I have one question here. The question is, can Title IIA funds be used for a purchase? I'll let Ben or John answer those questions. And Ben, I believe you're muted.